My friends, before we dive into today's incredibly important discussion, I need you to understand something crucial. What I'm about to share with you isn't just another news story that you'll forget in 5 minutes. This is a crisis that's unfolding right now, at this very moment, affecting thousands of vulnerable Australians who worked their entire lives to build this country. If you're a senior, if you know a senior, or if you simply care about justice and fairness in our society, then you need to hear every single word of what I'm about to tell you. So please, get comfortable, eliminate any distractions, and give me your complete attention for the next few minutes, because this information could literally change someone's life. Welcome to our channel, where we're dedicated to bringing you the truth about issues that directly impact Australian seniors and their families. This isn't about politics. This isn't about taking sides. This is purely about making sure you have the information you need to protect your rights and your financial security. Today, we're going to be discussing a situation that has left thousands of pensioners absolutely devastated, confused, and frightened about their financial future. So let's get straight into it. My friends, I need you to stop what you're doing right now and listen very carefully, because something deeply troubling is unfolding across Australia at this very moment, and it's affecting thousands of our most vulnerable citizens. This isn't clickbait. This isn't exaggeration. This is a real crisis that's leaving elderly Australians confused, frightened, and financially devastated. Picture this scenario for just a moment. You're a retired Australian who worked hard your entire life, paid your taxes faithfully, raised your family, and contributed to building this great nation. You've reached your golden years, and you rely on your Centrelink pension to survive. Every fortnight, that payment arrives in your bank account like clockwork. It's not much, but you've learned to budget carefully, making every single dollar count. Then, one morning, you check your account expecting to see your regular pension payment, and your heart sinks. The amount is wrong. It's lower than it should be. For some people, it's $50 less. For others, it's hundreds of dollars missing, and there's no explanation, no warning, no letter telling you why your lifeline has suddenly been cut. This is exactly what's happening to Australian pensioners right now, and the scale of this problem is staggering. We're not talking about a handful of isolated cases. We're talking about a systemic issue that has affected countless seniors from Sydney to Perth, from Melbourne to Brisbane, from regional towns to major cities. These are people who've already been struggling with the worst cost of living crisis Australia has seen in decades, and now their pension payments have been inexplicably reduced without any prior notification whatsoever. Before we dive deeper into this crisis, I want to address something important. If you care about truth, if you care about protecting our seniors, and if you believe that every Australian deserves to know what's happening with their entitlements, then please take just 2 seconds right now to subscribe to our channel. We're dedicated to bringing you real information that affects real lives, cutting through the confusion and giving you the clarity you deserve. Your subscription doesn't just help us grow, it helps spread this vital information to other seniors who might not even realize their payments have been affected. Zusammen können wir Bewusstsein schaffen und die Rechenschaftspflicht fordern, die unsere älteren Bürger verdienen. Now, let's talk about what this pension payment really means to the people who depend on it every single day. For most pensioners, that fortnightly Centerlink deposit represents far more than just money in the bank. It represents security, dignity, independence, and basic survival. It's the difference between being able to turn on the heater during a freezing winter morning or sitting wrapped in multiple blankets, shivering and uncomfortable just to save on electricity costs. It's what allows them to purchase their essential blood pressure medication, their diabetes prescriptions, their heart tablets, or their arthritis treatments. It's what puts fresh vegetables, nutritious food, and basic groceries on their table each week. When that payment suddenly drops, even by what might seem like a relatively small amount to some people, It creates a cascade of impossible choices and soul-crushing anxiety that most policymakers sitting in their comfortable offices could never truly comprehend or understand. The phone lines at Centerlink have been absolutely overwhelmed in recent weeks. Desperate seniors have been calling in, waiting on hold for hours upon hours, sometimes spending an entire day trying to get through, just to ask one simple question that's eating away at them and keeping them awake at night. Why has my pension been reduced without any warning or explanation? And here's where it gets even more frustrating and infuriating for these vulnerable people. When they finally manage to get through to someone after hours of waiting, the answers they're receiving are inconsistent, confusing, contradictory, and often completely unhelpful. Some are being told it's merely a temporary data issue that will resolve itself automatically in the next payment cycle. Others are hearing vague explanations about income reassessments or reporting adjustments or system recalculations that they don't understand. But none of these bureaucratic terms and technical jargon help when the rent is due tomorrow, when the pharmacy is waiting for payment for essential medications, or when the fridge is nearly empty and there's no money to buy food. This is precisely why what we're discussing today is so critically important for every Australian to understand. We're going to walk through this situation together, calmly and methodically, examining exactly what's happening behind the scenes, what caused this catastrophic mistake in the system, and most importantly, what you can do right now if this has happened to you or to someone you love and care about. From everything we've been able to piece together through multiple sources, reports from affected pensioners across the country, and leaked information from within the department, this issue appears to have originated with automatic recalculations deep within Centerlink's incredibly complex computer systems. These automated recalculations are specifically designed to adjust pension payments whenever someone's financial circumstances change in any significant way. This could be triggered if you report new income from casual work, if your partner's employment situation changes, if your bank balance increases significantly because of an inheritance or property sale, or if government indexation rules are updated to reflect cost of living adjustments. Under normal circumstances, these automated adjustments work correctly and ensure people receive exactly what they're entitled to based on the means test criteria, nothing more and nothing less. However, over the past several weeks, an alarming pattern has emerged that has caught the attention of advocacy groups and concerned politicians. Multiple pensioners spanning the entire continent of Australia have reported sudden, unexplained reductions in their payments that they cannot account for. These aren't minor calculation errors we're talking about. These are significant cuts that are genuinely impacting people's ability to meet their basic living expenses and maintain their independence. Some of these problematic changes appear to be connected to Centerlink's annual data refresh cycle, a specific period when the systems automatically check and cross-reference tax records from the Australian Taxation Office, verify savings account balances directly with banks and financial institutions, and look for any reporting overlaps or inconsistencies that might affect entitlements. In numerous cases throughout this refresh process, the system attempts to predict or estimate a pensioner's income or assets by pulling data directly from the ATO database. The serious problem is that for many people, those estimates have been catastrophically wrong, leading to incorrect payment reductions. Let me give you a concrete example of how this plays out in real life, so you can understand the mechanics of what's going wrong. Imagine your bank interest was reported to the ATO as being higher than what you actually received throughout the financial year. Maybe there was a data entry error at the bank, or maybe the timing of the reports didn't align properly between different systems. The Centerlink system sees this inflated interest figure and automatically assumes you're earning more investment income than you really are. Based on this false assumption, the computer then calculates that you're entitled to a lower pension payment according to the means test rules, and it immediately reduces your fortnightly amount. All of this happens automatically, behind the scenes, without any human review or oversight, and without any notification being sent to you explaining what happened or why your payment suddenly changed. Centerlink has quietly acknowledged through internal communications that there have been significant processing delays and mismatched data updates that have led to what they're carefully calling temporary adjustments in some accounts. While they're publicly claiming that these errors will be corrected automatically without pensioners needing to take any action or make any phone calls, the reality on the ground is that many seniors have been left completely in the dark, not knowing if they're affected by this glitch, not knowing when or even if a correction will arrive in their account, and not knowing how they're supposed to survive and pay their bills in the meantime. This situation has understandably triggered an enormous wave of frustration, anger, fear, and helplessness throughout the senior community across Australia. Imagine making that difficult phone call to Centerlink, finally managing to get through after hours of waiting and listening to hold music, explaining your situation to a call center operator who may or may not have complete information, and being told simply that it should be fixed in the next payment cycle. To someone sitting behind a desk collecting a regular salary with job security, that might sound like a reasonable and acceptable response. But for a retiree who's trying to survive on a fixed income that barely covers the essentials even in normal circumstances, being told to wait another 2 weeks for a correction isn't just inconvenient. It's absolutely devastating. It can mean skipping meals to make the food budget stretch further until the next payment arrives. It can mean going without necessary medication because there simply isn't money to pay for prescriptions. It can mean falling behind on rent or utility bills and facing disconnection notices or eviction threats. And for many proud seniors who have supported themselves independently their entire lives, it means the deep humiliation of having to ask their children or grandchildren for financial help. It's absolutely heartbreaking to witness people who worked 40, 50, or even 60 years, who contributed their labor and expertise to building modern Australia, who paid their taxes faithfully throughout their working lives, now being forced to fight tooth and nail just to get clarity about their own entitlements that they've earned. Many of these seniors aren't comfortable with modern technology. They don't know how to navigate the MyGov website with its multiple passwords and security questions. They're not sure how to check their online payment records or understand the terminology, and they have no idea how to upload supporting documents through the online portal because the entire process feels overwhelmingly technical and confusing to someone who didn't grow up with computers. To make matters even worse, many live in regional or rural areas where internet access is limited, unreliable, or completely unavailable, which means they depend entirely on what Centerlink staff tell them over the phone, and those explanations can vary dramatically depending on which officer they happen to speak with and how well-trained that person is. According to internal sources who have spoken to advocacy groups, Centerlink is reportedly implementing a manual review process, which means individual staff members will need to examine affected accounts one by one, verify the data against multiple sources, identify the specific errors that caused the reduction, and process corrections. While this sounds thorough and careful, the fundamental problem is that manual reviews take considerable time, and time is something pensioners simply cannot afford when their bills are due today, not next week or next month. If you're watching right now and you're wondering whether this situation might affect you or a loved one, there's a straightforward way to start checking your own records to see if you've been impacted. You need to log into your MyGov account, navigate to the Centerlink section by clicking on the appropriate link, and then click on the Payment and Claim Details option. Once you're there, you'll be able to see your complete payment history laid out chronologically showing every payment you've received. Take a close and careful look at your last several payments over the past month or two. If your most recent payment amount is noticeably lower than the previous ones, and you haven't reported any changes in your personal circumstances, income, employment, or assets, then there's a significant possibility that you're one of the people affected by this widespread system error. If you're not comfortable using MyGov or you don't have reliable internet access at home, you can review your paper payment statements if you still receive them in the mail, or you can call Centerlink directly to inquire about your payments and ask specific questions. When you do call, it's absolutely essential to remain calm and speak clearly, even though you might be feeling frustrated, anxious, or angry about the situation. Explain that you've noticed a reduction in your pension payment and ask specifically whether your account is currently under review for any reason or if there have been any automatic adjustments made. Make sure you keep detailed records of every single interaction you have with Centrelink from this point forward. Write down the date and exact time you called. Note the full name of the person you spoke with. Record their employee number if they provide it, and summarize what they told you in writing. This documentation can become extremely important if you need to escalate your case later, or if you need to request a formal review of your entitlements through the Administrative Appeals Tribunal. And please, try not to panic or let the stress overwhelm you. According to official statements that have been released, these reductions are being described as temporary errors that will be corrected once the system glitch is identified and fixed. In many cases, the system should restore the missing amount automatically in an upcoming payment cycle, possibly even including back payment for what you missed. However, if that automatic correction doesn't happen within a reasonable time frame, you have every legal right to request a manual reassessment of your account and to demand back payment for any money you were legally entitled to but didn't receive. This isn't the first time Centrelink has experienced significant technical problems that have caused real financial harm to vulnerable Australians who depend on these payments. Over the years, we've witnessed similar issues ranging from unexplained underpayments to erroneous overpayment claims that resulted in debt notices, many of which were directly caused by system errors, software glitches, or delayed data updates from the Australian Taxation Office. The uncomfortable truth that nobody in government wants to admit is that the technology infrastructure supporting these welfare programs is extraordinarily complex, involving multiple interconnected systems, databases spread across different departments, and automated processes that interact in ways that even the programmers don't fully understand. When even one small component malfunctions, or when data doesn't sync properly between systems because of timing issues or compatibility problems, the consequences can ripple outward, affecting thousands upon thousands of people in a very short period of time. Experts in social services, technology, and public administration have been sounding the alarm for years, warning that the automation systems operating within Centerlink desperately need more transparency, better oversight from qualified professionals, and stronger safeguards to prevent exactly this type of crisis. These automated systems are undeniably powerful and efficient when they work correctly, processing millions of transactions every single week. But when errors inevitably occur, as they always do with complex systems, they disproportionately impact the most vulnerable members of our society, including the elderly, people living with disabilities, and those subsisting on fixed incomes with absolutely no financial buffer to absorb unexpected shortfalls. We only need to look back at the infamous robodebt scandal to understand how automation, without proper human oversight and accountability, can lead to devastating injustice on a massive scale that destroyed lives. While this current situation hasn't reached anywhere near that level of systemic abuse and illegal debt collection, it serves as yet another stark reminder that technology must be designed to serve people and protect their rights, not to punish them for errors they didn't commit and had no control over. Behind every single data point and every reduced payment, there's a real human story filled with struggle, hardship, and quiet desperation. There's Margaret, a 78-year-old woman from Adelaide who lives alone in a small unit, who discovered that her pension payment had inexplicably dropped by $92 last week without any explanation or warning letter. That missing money meant she couldn't afford her usual grocery shopping, and she had to make the painful decision to skip buying fresh fruits and vegetables, settling instead for cheaper processed foods that aren't good for her health. There's Peter, a 74-year-old man from regional Queensland who takes daily medication to manage his diabetes and keep his blood sugar levels stable. When his pension payment arrived substantially short, he found himself in an impossible position and had to delay refilling his prescription, potentially putting his health at serious risk and possibly leading to a medical emergency. These stories aren't about wanting luxury items or extra spending money for entertainment or holidays. These are stories about basic survival and maintaining human dignity in the face of bureaucratic incompetence. For countless seniors across Australia, the pension represents the only stable income they have coming in every fortnight. At this stage of life, it's no longer about planning for the future or building savings for retirement. It's about managing to live day to day with dignity, affording the essentials like food and medicine, and not becoming a burden on their children or grandchildren who have their own financial struggles. When that fundamental dignity is threatened or shaken by bureaucratic errors and system failures that are completely beyond their control, the emotional and psychological toll can be every bit as painful and damaging as the financial impact. That's precisely why this issue should matter to all Australians, regardless of age or personal circumstances. How we treat our elderly citizens, how we protect their rights and well-being, says everything about who we are as a nation and what values we truly hold dear as a society. Now, my friends, we've covered this absolutely critical issue together, and I genuinely hope this information has been valuable and helpful to you or to someone you care about. If you found this video informative and important, I'm going to ask you for a simple favor that will help us reach more people who desperately need this information. Please take just 1 second right now to hit that like button, because it signals to the algorithm that this content is valuable and helps push it to more people who are searching for answers about their pension payments. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please click that subscribe button right now and make sure you've turned on the notification bell, because we're going to continue following this story very closely and bringing you updates the absolute moment new information becomes available from Centerlink die Regierung. We're committed to keeping you informed every step of the way until this crisis is completely resolved and every affected pensioner receives the money they're entitled to. Together, as a community that cares about fairness and justice, we can make sure every affected pensioner gets the help they need and the financial support they've rightfully earned. Thank you so much for watching today, my friends. And please remember, you're not alone in this fight for fairness, dignity, and the respect that every Australian senior deserves. Take care, stay informed, and we'll see you in the next video.